says in our Indian scriptures that when family relations and social relations break down, that is when there's a breakdown of dharma. Dharma is another word just like karma, which is the pathway to order. Dharma lays down all the rules for a well-functioning society. Relations between husband and wife, between king and subjects, all of that. When the essential fabric of society, which is the family, when that breaks, there is a complete breakdown of dharma and chaos ensues. But it also says that from the fires that are burning, there rises someone that saves the day. Like an avatar. Every time the world was in jeopardy, creation has happened more than once, you know that, right? It's happened time and time again. It happens for millions of years, goes and then starts again and goes. And each time, there was someone who rose out to save the earth from destruction. And so now we wait for the 10th avatar, who's in Hindu mythology is called Kalki. That we hope that he rises in the midst of chaos. There will be order for a while, always. And then when absolute power corrupts absolutely, there will be a complete disregard for the planet. Complete disregard for social relations between people. Complete breakdown of caring and sharing and wanting to live to serve others. Society will become self-seeking. My needs above others. I matter more than others. A small group of people will control and manipulate all of society. All that happens. And this is not what's happening now. You might say, oh my God, she's talking about now. No, this has happened time and time again. And you can read the history books, read the history of any country, and this is what you see. A complete breakdown when a few people control the masses, decide what happens. And when all that happens, the earth is not silent, right? You know that what we are made up of, our bodies, are the same elements that the earth is made of. So if you have intelligence, trust me, the earth has intelligence too, the planets have intelligence too, the universe has a superintelligence that controls everything. So it will take the abuse for a while and then say, okay, now enough is enough. I think I'll raise my temperature by 2 degrees. And then the seas rise and the lands get covered and volcanoes erupt and tsunamis start flowing. And what can you do in the face of environmental chaos? We can handle people. We can handle people. You don't like these ones? There's always the case where there's a group of people, then there's a revolution, then something you again get a democracy, then that breaks down. You get a dictatorship, you get an oligarchy, you get a democracy. This has happened time and time again. Yes, we can handle people. But what do you do when you have monster storms and wildfires and volcanoes and tsunamis? That is the earth saying, you want chaos? I'll give you chaos. There was a time when people lived maybe 1,000, 2,000 years ago in very close proximity with nature. Nature is the world's biggest healer. Because people lived in such close proximity, they had this mutual respect, and the earth gave to them as much as they gave. And there was always this sense of, I'm okay where I am, I'm okay with the way society is. Everything is functioning exactly the way it should. A tanner did his job, a tailor did his job, a king did his job. Everybody understood where they came from, and it worked well. But when you lose the connection with nature, that is when the external chaos enters here. Chaos outside is fine, but how do you combat it? How do you combat it? You and me cannot change the temperature of the earth. You and me cannot change the people that make up the Congress and the Senate. But what we can do is create a bubble of energy around us. Just imagine for a minute that everyone was happy in this world. There would be no killing, no fighting, no greed, no unhappiness, no abuse, no depression, no mental illness. Yes, there might be physical illness. But if everyone had the trick to know that happiness is my birthright, you would not impose on anyone else. So it becomes incumbent on you to become messengers for happiness, angels of hope, belief. And while you're angels of hope and belief, you do it knowing that what you're doing is going to make a difference. Because, I always say hope and belief are very empty. Right? I hope things will work out. That means, they may not. Right? I believe, what you believe in, you don't know. Because if you knew it, you wouldn't have to believe it. I believe there's heaven, and when we die, we go to heaven. Yeah, you believe that story. And you believe the story that, Ganesha's head was cut off and replaced with an elephant head. Why? Because you don't know. But you know this is a phone. You don't have to believe it. Right? Mm-hmm. So you spread a message of positivity wherever you go. So when a conversation starts with, oh my God, what is happening? You say, but never lose faith that it always works out. That good always prevails. That collective positive energy has its place. It's all power. You can never silence the voices of collective thought. One person can stand up and say, yes, this happened to me, I was molested. No one believes them. But when 500,000 people get together and say the same thing, that voice is different. And that voice can move. In India, women have always been treated badly. Women have always been taught to know their place. You either belong to your father or your husband or your son. Right? And women have been abused, and this abuse has been kept quiet because of the shame attached to it. I was just reading in the New York Times and listening on the BBC how the Me Too movement is completely taken off. It's causing chaos in the men's world in India. They're having to explain themselves for the first time. They're having to stand up and say, oh my God, I did this. Sometimes chaos is good. When you shake up things, it's very good, but you must never ever come from a place of anger. Anger is a good thing to jumpstart a movement, but it cannot sustain one. Because anger by its very nature is very short-lived. You can only be angry for such a short amount of time. After that, you forget about it. Just by example, do you remember how angry we were about guns? We had the same conversation about guns, but who's talking about it now? It's died a natural death. All that fire and fury and talking and going to Tallahassee and doing all that, gone. No one is angry anymore. Because anger can only sustain you for something, for a short period of time. If you truly want to make a change, you have to withdraw it into yourself. Into the values and attitudes that you want to see mirrored in your world. Because your world manifests that which is inside. It's like a mirror. When you truly believe and talk about and uphold that positive attitude of good relations, of caring, of sharing, of community, then it happens. Then it happens. Each one of us matter. There are so many people that don't go to the polls because they say they don't matter. And they make up more than half the population. They do matter. Your vote counts, your voice counts, your thought counts. You decide whether you want chaos or peace. And it comes from within. It comes from an inner conviction where you espouse all the things that you hold dear that are good, not just for yourself, but from the world around you. When there is inner turmoil, it's a time for change. So inner turmoil, inner chaos is not a bad thing. It was what Arjuna faced when he was in the war in the Mahabharata, and he saw that he was going to enter a war where he was going to kill his uncle, his brothers, his cousins, his teacher, and he couldn't do it. And it was then that Krishna sat him down and gave him the most beautiful, the essence of Vedantic knowledge. Inner turmoil is good because it means you are ready to listen to something new. You want something new to happen. You are not happy with what is happening now. You don't understand it. You need to delve deeper. And delving deeper is always good because as you go deeper and deeper, you touch your source. And when you touch your source, everything is okay. Everything is okay. And that's why we meditate. We meditate because every day I want you to wake up and say, everything is just perfect in this world. I wonder what wonderful thing is going to happen to me today. How is this day going to turn out for me? That's the attitude you should have first thing in the morning. You do your breathing, you do your meditation, sit with your cup of coffee and say, aha, life is just beautiful. And so it doesn't matter what's happening outside, what's happening inside. Some of us will be movers and changers, and some of us won't. But by the power of our thoughts, by the power of our energy, by the power of our aura, by the power of that inner calm, we can make the change we want. That's it.